Welcome guys back to the channel. I know a long time no see or no upload. The reason is that we are extremely busy. We had to cancel and postpone few appointments because at the moment we are only two of us. Sean is helping us at the weekends when he can, but there is only so much we can do, me and Dan, and handle other stuff around the business as well. But now let's talk about the hero of this video, which is the Mazda 6 behind me. Again, 2.2 diesel. There are a few things I want to show you, I want to talk about, and I want to make clear because I've got lots of questions. Most of the time around the same questions, so I want to answer that. Again, I want to show again some new tips and tricks, not new for me, but it may be new for you, how to do certain things, and hopefully it will again answer like a lot of your questions. Dan is already working on the car, so now let me switch the camera and talk about the car, why it came from, what's the story behind it, and what's going to happen to the car, and what are the problems with it. So, how it started. This car, first of all, like Peter Kennedy recommended us to the owner of this car to come here because Peter is far away from him or further away than we, so the guy chose us to get the work done. So now how it started, he was getting the vehicle system malfunction, the yellow triangle, exclamation mark. That was the first problem. Then he contacted me, asking for the codes, and it was the vacuum pump. And then he was driving a little bit more, maybe a week, and after he got another light coming on, which is more dangerous, which was the oil pressure light on it. But let me talk about that later because it turned out very good. I'll tell you why. And I need to tell you that not everybody will be this like lucky as this owner, but the car is already disassembled. I've done it, today is Monday, I've done it on Saturday. Yesterday we had off because we're working quite a lot, so we need to take a little bit of a rest as well. But anyways, Dan has already removed the camshaft, which I will show you guys as well, because sometimes, or what I've seen, most of you don't know or don't understand or don't know what to check for wear of the camshaft. So now first let me show you the intake ports. I believe the car has over 100,000 miles. It is there, the carbon buildup is there, so that needs to be done, obviously cleaned. The camshaft. So what we get asked the most, the camshaft job. So we always recommend everybody, if he hasn't had done, to get the camshaft inspected. And that includes removing the valve cover, and if the camshaft is not worn, we replace the valve cover gasket and the injector washers. That's included in the camshaft inspection. Then, if the camshaft is worn, we replace the camshaft. That's the second kind of job which can occur with the inspection. And also, let's say you are lucky and the camshaft is not worn, but you have very bad oil sludge buildup inside the cylinder head, then we remove both of the camshafts, get everything cleaned, and then put it back everything together. And like on this one, the camshaft was worn. You could have guessed because it is removed. And like with that job, when we replace the camshaft, we always replace 4 tappets, which you see there are missing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4 rocker arms, and we always check the rest of the tappets as well, if they are soft or if they can be compressed or if they are worn. And now let me show you the camshaft alone and tell you or let you know what to check or how to check it for wear. So here is the camshaft, and let me use that piece of paper. So basically where this one wears is on these big camshaft lobes. And what's the wear basically? Now you should be able to see that this camshaft lobe has lips. So the material is missing from here. And then it cannot press down on the valves, so they won't open. Not saying it never opens the valves, because it has this area, when it is not using the variable valve timing or variable valve lift, then it lifts or opens the valves but doesn't open when it's supposed to open with the very low valve timing. And if you can see, the lip here is missing, so that's chipped off from it again. And also, you some of you ask, like, do you have to, like, is there a way to save money if it is not too worn? Can you leave it inside the cylinder head? The answer is no. If it is worn, you have to replace it because it can cause other problems. And also, these lobes, they cannot be replaced separately, so they are on the camshaft. You have to replace the whole camshaft. And then also wanted me to show you guys how the tappets are worn. Again, let's try on the white background. You see, that is excessively worn and very badly worn. Usually these are not this bad. Again, this is worn, so this is going to get replaced. And also in this video, we are going to show you how to clean that pipe underneath the exhaust pressure sensor and how we do it. So most of the times, unfortunately, it can't be done with a wire or a chemical way because it is so blocked. And like, people ask us why it is so expensive, or like how we do it, how it has to be done. It has to be heated up with a blowtorch and use air gun to get that piece of carbon out from the EGR cooler side. And the reason for that, to be able to do it, you need to remove the valve cover because it is plastic, and you can melt the valve cover if you don't do it, so you don't remove it. So in this video, I'm going to show you how we do it, and so you can understand why it is necessary to remove all these bits and parts. So not only the valve cover, but we remove the EGR cooler, so that piece of carbon or that fireball can escape sideways. And then is already underneath the car. I'm going to hand the camera over to him, and he will show you the oil strainer on this car, and then I will tell you the story of this car, why the owner came to us, what was his problem, and how he got scammed, we believe.
As you can see, guys, brand new. I'm just about to clean the sump area, clean off the old sealant.
So the owner bought the car back in last year, I believe autumn time, maybe October, maybe September, maybe November. I'm not sure about the purchase date. Anyways, he purchased, I think, a separate warranty, not from the dealer, but from a different company. I'm not sure if the dealer offered him that company or not. I don't know that, but basically, straight after he purchased the car, problems occurred, first with the tire pressure monitor system or whatever. That got sorted, and then he had like further problems with the car, like the turbo fault code, which was the P2262, and he thought that it's the turbo. Went back to the dealer said the turbo was replaced, which wasn't. I'll show you why and tell you why. And then he went back and forth. He called Mazda. He spent, I believe, with Mazda around 500 pounds just for diagnosing the car 3 times. He went there. They charged him each time around 150 quid, if not more. I'm not 100% sure, but he spent a lot of money just for diagnosis, and he basically didn't get any results. What he got no from that diagnosis, that the turbo wasn't replaced, but it wasn't from the diagnosis. He called up the dealership that allegedly was doing the turbo, and then they confirmed that they gave the quote, but they didn't carry out the job because the owner didn't go through. Anyway, so the turbo wasn't replaced. I'll show you what was replaced on this car. The only thing what we can see. So that's how it started. The dealer, the warranty company, they refused to pay. The deal, it's taking too long for him. He's claiming, I don't know, he want to sue the dealer or not. It's obviously it's his decision. So yeah, and also the oil pressure I wanted to talk about. So now let me switch the camera and show you more about tell you more about the engine bay. So now you obviously can't see because the parts are removed, but the intake manifold was never removed before. That clamp, which is on this pipe, I can show you now. So that clamp was facing towards the cabin, meaning the intake manifold was never removed. Dan had already cleaned that silicone bubble, the original from the factory, so it's not here, but it was still the original one. To be honest, which is quite a good thing for us, like no one touched the car before us, even though they claimed the turbo, they said the turbo was replaced. This is still the old turbo, and also like Mazda confirmed that they only just gave the quote, but they didn't carry out the job because the owner, as I said previously, didn't go for it. Only thing what is replaced, as you can see, is the alternator. It is nice and shiny. However, you can see the drive belt is not on there because I cut it. I don't understand how come they replaced the drive belt, the alternator, and they didn't replace the drive belt, which was already cracked. I just don't understand why they put it back on it. Anyways, we're going to get that done. And also, yeah, the vacuum pump. So I have already removed vacuum pump. He's going to get the new one. And now let me talk about the oil pressure, why he was so lucky, this owner. So when he messaged me, I thought, again, this is going to be like a difficult one because a lot of things were done on the car, oil pressure problems, this and that. So I told him, okay, come for a diagnosis. He came, I connected the scan tool, I checked for fault codes. On the dash, I could see the oil pressure warning light. I connected the scan tool and it said, I can't remember the fault code. You can look it up on Google, but it said oil deterioration. I don't know how to spell that. So the problem was, whoever done the oil changes on this car, they never reset the oil data, the oil change interval. That's why it triggered that fault code. I've checked the oil pressure was fine. It was within the specs. So what I've done, I just reset the oil change not the change interval, but the oil data inside the ECU of the car. I will show you that maybe later how to do it with and without the diagnostics as well, because there is a way to do it without the diagnostics tool or a scan tool, and that solved the oil pressure problem from him. But just to be on the safe side, we removed the oil pan, because now he brought the car back to us like 2-3 weeks after, which we are here now, and we removed the pan just to check the strainer, because we've seen that even though the pressure is fine, the strainer still can be blocked or getting blocked, and it will cause him like problems in the future. So we removed the pan, the strainer is clean, we're not going to replace the strainer. Again, as you can see, the top, it was never it's clean, it's a little bit black, but it had like quite regular or frequent oil changes. Only the camshaft is worn. That damaged the vacuum pump went bad. So yeah, Dan is going to clean obviously a little bit more of the cylinder head, but this owner was lucky. And to answer like very frequently asked questions of you, can you drive the car with the oil pressure light on? The answer is like hard no. Don't drive it unless you want to cause further damages to the engine. Some people say, but if I just turn off the car or delete the code, it won't come back on till like a certain mile, or like drive if you drive it a little bit longer. No, you can't drive it, because the oil pressure is essential or crucial to the car. It needs to lubricate, the oil needs to lubricate the components. If you don't have that, you can spin a bearing, you can make damage to the crankshaft, all the things. So oil pressure light is the most important, like oil pressure warning light is the most important thing on these ones. Not on these ones, on every engine or every car. If you have oil pressure light, don't drive the car. So yeah, now then prepare the torch, and he is going to heat up that pipe, and also using the air gun and get rid of that fireball. So I'll turn off the camera, change position, and I'll get back to you. I guess there is no need to mention that this is like quite dangerous, so be careful or very cautious when you do this at home. So as you can see, he's now going to pressurize that pipe to show you that it is blocked. So if you can, so it's not blowing anything out from this is where the EGR cooler bypass connects, and there is the EGR cooler where it connects to the engine, and nothing is coming out if he presses the air gun. So it's heavily blocked, and now he's going to heat up the pipe. And this is the reason you need to remove the valve cover, because the valve cover is plastic and you can't heat it up properly to get rid of that piece of carbon. Also, you need to be very careful with other plastics or cables or wires around it. So how we do it, the pipe needs to be glowing red, and then he can pressurize it with air. He's going to heat it up a little bit more to see if anything else is coming out. Because usually, like a little fireball with flames comes out from that EGR cooler connection to the, or like from the cylinder head. And now, as you could hear also, that the air is coming out from that part. Before it was so blocked, the air couldn't escape that way from the EGR cooler. So now it is free of carbon buildup, that little pipe. So now if we replace the exhaust pressure sensor, it will work properly as it should. And so Dan's going to do the rest. He's going to clean the cylinder head, get the sump back on the car, and then we're going to carry out together with the carbon cleaning. And in the meanwhile, I'm going to rebuild that engine. So the oil pan is already on, and then put back the camshaft and the sprocket as well. He didn't wait for me to record, but don't worry, there will be another ones which will need the camshaft replacement. So I'll show you how to put back the sprocket to the camshaft. But as you can see, it is all cleaned. The new one is installed, and he's going to put back the valve cover and then the rest of the parts of the valve cover from the top, so bolts, brackets, injectors. And once that is on, we can do the carbon cleaning. The reason why we do it that way, so the top is covered. If any walnut media, shells, whatever would just fly over the place, which it won't get into the cylinder head. So yeah, once the valve cover is on, we're going to do the walnut blasting. And here is how I am getting on with the engine. So putting back the parts. As you can see, it got a brand new cylinder head. The timing chain is on. Just need to tighten down a few bolts. Camshaft's on. I just need to transfer a few sensors and parts and bits and bolts to this one, and then the plan is to get it closed. So valve cover on, timing cover on, oil pan on, and hopefully the turbo and the intake manifold, and that will be it for today. So the carbon cleaning is finished, or better say, the walnut blasting. As you can see, here is the result. And now let's check the report itself. So number one, it turned out really great. The reason why, because it was dry, so it wasn't too oily, too wet, so it was easy to clean. At least that's what Dan said. So now he's going to reassemble the car back together with the rest of the parts. And in the meanwhile, I already put the camshaft in, the timing cover and a few bits, and now I'm doing the bottom of the engine. So the oil pan. Once I'm ready with that, I'm going to dress up the engine with the rest of the parts. So we just came back from the test drive of that Mazda 6. It was successful. I just reset the data, then checked for leaks. It's not leaking any oil, no fluid, nothing, so it's successful. He's putting back the plastic under tray, and that was it for this car. The owner is coming tomorrow to collect it. In the meanwhile, we've got delivered another Mazda 6 here with a suspected snapped timing chain on the oil pump, so that will be interesting. And let me show you how far I've got with the engine. So as you can see, the turbo is on, the valve cover is on. I couldn't put the injectors back on because the markings got washed off from it, and I don't know which one is which one, so which one goes into which location. So once it will be back to the car, I'm going to read the ECU and check which one is coded to which cylinder, and I'm going to put them back accordingly. So yeah, this video was this much, or this was it in this video. Sorry for lack of enthusiasm, but we are getting quite tired and exhausted. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and see you soon in the very next video. Take care and bye bye guys.